You might have noticed my lighting is a bit different because I tell you what, it's been a bitch of a week. No, it's been a fun weekend, I should say.
That's why your
Last
lighting's better?
last weekend. So last weekend, set the scene here. I wake up on a Saturday morning and I think to myself, you know what? I'm gonna go in and play a little bit of Minecraft and just have a good Saturday with absolutely nothing to do. Long story short, the motherboard on my PC croaked, so it's
Nice.
been completely dead. So I'm recording on my laptop, which means I didn't have the same lighting as I normally do on my PC. So I've improvised, and yeah, unless I pointed it out, I don't think anyone really would have noticed. But yeah, it's a
Okay.
great story. I know it's a
I
great story.
noticed your lighting was a little better.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm actually using a light. In the past, I just used my screen, and anyway.
No, anyway.
So
I smashed my toe this week.
oh, how bad?
It wasn't bad. It was one of those. I think in last week I mentioned something that makes you mad, but it makes you mad in a way that you laugh.
Mm.
Like you don't like rage, you just kind of get mad and laugh at the situation.
Oh yeah. Like when your belt loop gets caught on the door handle, that kind of thing.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, so I went to the fridge. This was Sunday night? Was it a Sunday, Monday night? I forgot which night. It was kind of later, like 10, 11-ish, and I opened the fridge door and a bottle of wine falls out and lands directly on my pointer toe.
E.
And it doesn't like break, it just lands right on it and rolls away. And it's like half full, and I was like, fuck. It was just like a moment I was like, fuck, that hurt. Didn't think much about it. Whatever. Put the wine back in. I secured it in the fridge so it wouldn't fall out again. Grabbed a beer, went to the couch. And about like 5-10 minutes later, I just kind of feel like my foot's sticky. And I look down.
No.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
no.
covered in blood.
Oh no. Yeah.
And,
Okay.
But like it's like a finger cut though. You know, like you cut your finger, it just bleeds like a shit ton, but it's really not that bad.
Yeah.
So I was like, good lord. And so I went and like I sprayed I put some peroxide on my toe. I just kind of wrapped it up to make it stop bleeding. Cleaned up the blood that was on the carpet. And then I went back to the fridge to grab another beer and I opened it up and the bottle falls out again. And this time it breaks.
The bottle broke?
The bottle breaks.
Oh, okay. I was like, your toe broke? What?
No, the bottle breaks and it didn't like break on my toe, but it just breaks. And in my head, it was like,
oh, of course.
It's like, yeah, it's late at night and now I have to clean this shit up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was fun. So then the next couple days, like it wasn't like my toe was like horrible. The next day it was kind of, the next day the bruising, like it swells and shit. So it was annoying. And then the next few days I tried to keep it wrapped because it was like an open wound.
Oh yeah.
But it wasn't that bad. It was just more in that moment I was like, of course. The simple thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that sucks. I hate when the minor wounds linger for far too longer than they should be. I got burned on my arm on a job the other day. Like my arm hit an exhaust pipe, so it got burned pretty bad. And not too bad, but it's like, I've been burned worse, but of course now it's like, seriously, like just go away. Cause of course, you rub it up against everything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Good times talking about injuries.
Yes.
But yeah, I had a few points all stemmed from today. It was it was a pretty good fun. So today I was on a job down in Calexico, which is about a half mile north of the Mexico-California border.
Okay.
So it's this customer that I have down there. I know 3-hour drive to get there. So it's and we tried to warn them when we first signed them, like, we have to charge for travel, right? And they're like, I know, but you're still the closest ones. So we're like, all right, well,
deal with it. Yeah, we got to deal with it.
So what was 3-hour drive, and I think it was on the drive back. I got passed by one of those, and I'll just open this up with, if you are in the union, any kind of union, if you're in any kind of union, shut the hell up. Just shut up. Just shut up. If you're in a union, just shut up. I mean, I'm not saying you're a bad person. Not saying all unions are bad, which they are, but I'm not saying that. I'm saying stop talking about the damn union. Okay, so this truck that passed me was one of those. He was one of those line workers. You know, like they work for Edison utility line workers. And let me tell you, there's no one more extra than a line worker union member. I swear, they're worse than the Marines. They have their trucks completely decked out with every bumper sticker you can think of. You know, the Live Better Work Union, local, what up, shut up. We're tired of it. We're tired of hearing about it. You know what? The past 2 years have pissed me off about unions so much. It was, you know, it's always been the, I'm sorry, I'm going to go into a whole thing. Feel free to interject at any point here, because I know
I'll let you roll.
I'm pontificating over here. I'm fully aware of that. This is all my opinion, but I think I'm onto something. Live Better Work Union. Here's a little fun fact for you. You'd probably earn about the same anyway if you weren't in union. The only difference is now the union takes your post-tax dollars out of your paycheck and it funds directly to a lobbyist group. That's all unions are anymore, dude. Your life isn't better because of the union. Your life is mathematically worse, and I can prove it, but I don't feel like it.
So
yeah, it was
I don't mind unions as much. I have mixed opinions on them, but I will say
union workers, not unions.
Yeah, I will say I'm actually slightly nervous this might get me in trouble.
Uh-oh.
But you're right that the Edison union people are fucking
See, it got me on a whole thing. The whole thing, it turned into like one of those like 10-minute yelling at your windshield kind of moments when you're driving. Because I'm like, it's not enough. It's first the line workers, and then I was thinking about last year during the shutdown when the shutdown was finally like relieving a little bit and everything was opening up. Everything was finally coming back, but there was one thing that was holding out the whole time, and it was the gosh darn freaking schools, because the teachers union decided that, you know, the politicians might have said this. And yeah, the scientists might agree. Yeah, the doctors might agree. Yeah, the parents might agree. Yeah, the kids might really want to go to school. But you know what? The teachers union decided we're not going to go back to school because that's racist. And that might seem like a huge jump, but if you can look it up, the LA School Unified president said we're not going to open schools back up because it's racist. It's
I'll look that up. I'll fact check you.
The actual point, okay, context. The actual point she made was at the time when everything was opening up, because the vaccines were readily available, there was, although availability was universal, the actual vaccinated rate was lower in the, what was they called? The marginalized communities is the term that they use. The marginalized communities were not as vaccinated as everyone else. And most of that was just a distrust for the government, but also, you know, there was an access to it. There was a monetary, element to it. But the point they were making was, hey, since people in these marginalized communities were not as vaccinated, we're kind of putting them at risk if we open back up. So it's be kind of racist to open back up. So
I didn't follow any of that.
I see the logic behind it. Don't agree, but whatever.
I was gonna say that I actually have other issues with teachers' unions not involving COVID shit. And my mom was a teacher, and she actually agreed with the opinion I have. But back to it, no. Yeah, the line worker shit is incredibly annoying. Regardless of your opinion on unions in general.
Yeah, just calm down. Shut up.
Those guys are so fucking like
they're extra. They're extra. I'm telling you.
Because we have they don't really come in that much anymore, but we used to have a bunch of them that come in every now and then to the restaurant and bar. And granted, they actually did us a huge favor and did some work they probably shouldn't have done for us at one point.
Cool.
But like when they would come in with like, because like management would come in and they're fine, but like all the boys who were like on the, like, you know, the linemen who were actually out there, like there was an issue one night. I'm not gonna get into the whole story, and a few of them are getting kicked out for pretty much causing a fight. And what they kept saying was to our security guard and even me, like, "Yo, how much you making, man? How much you making? Hey, just let's just go. It doesn't matter. They're making like minimum wage over here. Like we make so much more than that." And a couple of them like, "Yeah, local 404 or whatever the fuck they were," and I was like,
"Yeah, it's so elitist, and it bugs me. Elitism in any case bugs me, whether it be rich people, politicians, actors, or line workers. I don't care. Any elitism bugs me. The dirty hands, clean money crowd, you know, it's calm down, dude. You work for
I've
a living.
always loved that. The whole like my hands look like this, so
Yeah,
hers could look like this. I'm like,
exactly,
dude,
exactly.
dude. Like, and not to mention it to sound like a leftist Marxist. I'm like, so you're selling your body, so you're abusing yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like you're
Yeah,
abusing yourself. Okay, so you bought her a diamond ring. Great. You're gonna throw your back out by the time you're 37.
exactly.
Good
Yeah,
for you, bro.
yeah.
Like good work,
It's
man.
so dumb. Yeah, good for you. You didn't go to
Way to
college
show
and
me.
you went to trade school and now you earn like golden time on overtime because you work 6 hours on a 6 day and whatever in California. So now you make $500 an hour or some shit. I don't care. I don't care.
And the thing is, like, cool. That's a choice. And a lot of people that go to trade school make great money.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't.
Yeah, but calm down. It's like I harken back to like I go on my fucking shit, fuck rant, and then I talk about the Bible. But there was it's the curse of Adam. Everyone talks about the curse of Eve, but the curse of Adam was one of the curses that God gave Adam was, hey, you're gonna work the lands. It's gonna get hot. It's gonna get hard, and every day it's gonna get worse and hotter and worse until one day you're gonna die. That's your curse. And it's like I like kind of came to terms with that and accepted that was my lot in life when I was like 18. And it's made me a lot happier just knowing that, yeah, you know what? That's just my curse. I'm going to work my butt off. And one day when I'm lucky enough, I'll die. But to like parade it and be like, brag, like, yeah, you know, I work. And because, you know, not everyone's called to work. It's like, it's not the military, dude. Everyone works. What do you?
Yeah.
It's just the jealous of the like the military thing of, you know, the phrase, they all gave some of them gave their all, you know, that like for Memorial Day kind of thing. And it's just, I could see a bunch of like, you know, line workers or steel workers or whatever labor union guys would be like, yeah, you know, I'm on the same level as they are. But, you know,
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. I don't care. You know what, whatever.
The thing is, well, what's that you're religious. You hate the sin, not the sinner. I don't mind you. Just don't act like a douchebag. Don't do this thing.
you just wound up my whole point. That's it. Just don't be a douchebag. Also,
well, it'd be like look, hold on. It'd be like if granted, like I don't bartend as much anymore because just my position's changed. But if I just started posting like, oh, bro, you're in your office job, huh? Making $50K a year. I'm walking away with this much in tips every night, bitch. Everyone would be like, what a fucking asshole. You know what I mean? Everyone would be like, what an asshole.
Or, or it's going to be like a picture of you zoomed in at the cash register of the bar, like ringing up tips or something like that. And it's like, my hands look like this so that they can also look like this. You know, it's like, oh, you know, I'm harkening back to your bar. I know you're not a server anymore, but like your bartender days. It's like, oh man, no one sweats like I do. No one works hours like I do. You know, I mean, have pride in your work, but calm down.
It's kind of a tangent, but I've seen stuff recently on about it where people are like almost fetishizing the grind.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Because I'm in a lot of like bartending and restaurant meme groups and shit, and that's one thing that got brought up is someone's like, and a lot of these groups are made just to vent, right?
Sure.
But then you get some douchebag who like gets mad about something, and I still remember this happens a few times. Someone's like, man, you know, we were short staffed. I worked a 60-hour week, but made good money. But I'm tired. How's everyone else doing? And someone's like, 60 hours? I worked 80 this week. Get on my level, man. And it's like, bro, like you're burning yourself out. Why are you bragging about that?
Also, like, I hate that, but that's nothing kind of mentality, you know?
Yeah, it's just dumb. Like look, as someone who's been there, I'm 35 and I look like I'm nearly 50. Grinding out like that is not something to be proud of. Yeah. I'm mentally drained. I'm physically drained. Like, it's like that grind. Have fun. You're going to die early.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, we'll see if we have technical issues, but Eddie has about to enter the building.
Let's see. Oh, should we wave? Like, hey, this is us
maybe
here?
Maybe. Let's just, all right. I admitted it.
Yeah, it's
Hello.
Eddie, can you hear us already?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are
it
we gonna
echoing?
are we gonna have issues again, or are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go. My son called. I want to call him back.
Then why'd you join?
Because I just now saw the message as I walked. Okay, so he called 4 minutes ago, and I'm on silent.
And he walks away. Bye, Eddie.
Are we on speaker?
Are you echoing? Yes, you are on speaker. I
So
don't
the
know.
mic's picking us up.
Huh?
The mic's gonna pick us up.
I don't know. Is it? Try
Maybe.
Okay. So you started recording. Stop
Yeah.
it and see if it echoes.
I can't recording. We're already recording.
Oh, we are already recording.
We're middle episode.
We're
bro.
15 minutes in.
Oh shit. Okay.
Set it up like you did last time.
Huh?
Set it up like you did last time.
Oh, that's a pain in the ass neck. That's okay. I'll record on mine. It's recording on mine. Wait, I heard it's recording. You haven't been in 15 minutes, my ass.
Yeah, we're about 15 in.
You said recording in progress.
That's the 17-minute mark right there.
Oh, okay. Well, let's do something else real quick. Okay. I'm just gonna interject with my episode.
We're talking about we just talked about unions a little bit and how annoying union members can be sometimes.
Union workers are annoying me, Eddie. It's
Union workers are annoying you.
You gotta, because it's it's the guys that you've all seen them. You drive along the freeway because it's down to one lane because they're doing some construction and shit, and you drive by finally where they're working. One dude's there with a shovel, the other 7 are standing around talking. And you're like, what the hell? Meanwhile, these guys are getting paid gold an hour. They're paying $50 an hour. 2 of them's on pension. 1 of them's on his last year. So that way, whatever he makes in overtime is going to get carried on into his, welfare check. And then they put on their truck the bumper sticker of clean hands dirty hands, clean money. Oh, I'm so, holier than thou because I work for a living. Go fuck yourself.
What did I walk into? It's like freaking a bar in Pittsburgh or so. It's like, Jesus.
I prefer a tar in Pittsburgh.
A tar in Pittsburgh.
Anyway,
we
were talking about the fetishizing of the grind.
Yeah.
Get out there and grind.
You know who else fetishizes the grind? I could not put enough quotes around the word grind, but I'll try to. Those who fetishize the grind are actors. Okay. Any member of SAG, I'm sorry, I get it. You know what? I'm not going to say it's not work. Actors, what you do is work. It is not hard work. So calm down.
It can be. It can be. No, but I agree. Because so you're talking about successful actors who.
What I know about acting now, yes,
Jesus.
it is difficult. Yes, it is difficult.
We could compare a apprentice level steel worker. Nice. Apprentice level steel worker compared to a AFTRA approved kid who's working on Richard III. One of those is a really hard job.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is really hard to memorize, but
well, if you're talking about specifically like successful actors who like make the grind seem like romantic and fun and all that shit, I get kind of irritated because like that actor was one of like 5,000. For every one successful actor, there's 5,000 that failed. So for them to fetishize the grind of it, I'm kind of like, or you just got fucking lucky.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, I was talking about the other side of it, the people that are going to rehearsals and shows. And I've been through a bunch of tech weeks. My wife works costume department for several tech weeks. The behind the scenes people, I'll get their back. The set designers, the costume designers, those guys are crazy. Actors, I'm not saying it's not easy. It's not like hard, I know it's not easy. I know there's a challenge to it, but they constantly, in my experience anyway, and this is all personal experience, but they constantly try to compare themselves on the same level as the laborers out there. And it's just like, no.
Oh, no. Of course not. Of course.
Well, okay, so what we see are the 1% of actors, and it's getting to that point. It's getting to that point. But then again, I saw it was on the side of a building in Venice. Move to LA, star in a movie, learn how to act. And the thing about acting is like, you can't tell that it's there. You know, a good acting, it's just like, well, they're behaving
Exactly.
like they do always. You know, so
Exactly.
there is training, and it takes time like that, and to be
sure.
you know, a triple threat. But that being said, it's like, you know, if you're Gwyneth Paltrow and your dad's a producer, and you can, you know, kind of like that. So it's that aspect. But you know, how about somebody making a living in Cincinnati, just trying to, you know, be a stage performer there? You know, you got to take into account those people who are legit struggling.
I guess the point I'm trying to make is that all the jobs have varying degrees of difficulty, and some people have, it's easier for some of them than it is for others. Like, you know, being a doctor is not as easy as being a carpenter. Being a sheet metal worker is not the same as being a salesman at an a Mac store or Apple store, whatever the hell they're called. Mm-hmm. So there are varying degrees of difficulty, and it's kind of, I think there's this kind of assumption in society today where we all assume all work is the same in difficulty and should be the same in reward, and that's what kind of gives actors the complex. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, when you're used to that environment, and we only see 1% of actors. I mean, those people who have made it, and if you know a Ben Affleck or a Christopher Walken, you know, that's like 1% of every actor that's out there. And to get to that point, all the struggle, it's like saying, well, you know, you're in the NFL, you guys have got it easy. Do you know what it takes to get that far?
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's not if you're a Peyton Manning or something like that. That's like if you're third or fourth string, you know, just to get that,
but
if
you're someone like Colin Kaepernick who compares being in the NFL to slavery, it's kind of like, okay, where did this kind of thinking
where did that come from? I don't know about that.
I don't know.
Yeah, but
I hear a little bit of an echo. Do you hear that? Maybe not. I think it's gone. Okay.
But we'll see once we're done.
Absolutely. This is going to be a very interesting episode.
It's too bad because this is gold.
This is gold. I just came from a bonfire. I did shave. I didn't shave at the bonfire, but I just got back on here and I shaved and
you look dressed for it.
I look dressed for a bonfire. I learned one thing tonight, that I don't like soy hot dogs.
I haven't that already.
Yeah, I haven't tried them, but I would be willing to bet that I don't like them.
Yeah, that it was just no taste, and I would have liked. There was a dog over there. I don't know if the dog had allergies. I was willing to give it a taste of this thing, but I think the dog would have gone, "You got to be out of your freaking mind." So I just threw it in the bonfire.
Good, where it belongs. It's firewood.
Speaking of bonfires, the Alone season 8 is now on Hulu. If you this is a non-sponsored sponsorship here. If you haven't seen Alone, it's a freaking amazing show. Go back and watch. It's all on Hulu. But season 8 just dropped, and I just watched the first episode tonight. It's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome show.
So there's things you won't promote, but there's things you will promote.
Yeah, man. I'm not going to promote Gettle air conditioners. Fuck those guys.
Good.
I just want to make is this knowledge that you're moving, or is that off the air?
We said that on air.
So okay, you said that on air. I got to say, just the experience that I'm having around, you know, inflation, what have you, in this area. I got to say, your wife and you are making a very, very smart decision, because it's just, it is just, I'm starting to feel it now, and I'm going,
it means
you know,
a lot.
I do what I do, and it's difficult, you know, it's
bad, dude. I have a picture of it. I was in Malibu yesterday and took a picture of a gas station, $6.99 for gas out there. It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, I came up with a funny little joke. I was going to post it on Facebook, but I didn't feel like getting into a comment debate, so I'll just say it on here. If the economy gets any worse, Democrats are going to start claiming voter fraud too.
Well, that's the interesting thing. I mean, this election is going to be fascinating because we're projecting, or, you know, Wall Street commentators are projecting a recession in 2024. And it's an election year, and it's just so sticky. It's just really, really interesting what's going to happen. Because with inflation, and it's clear that there's no signs of it slowing down. So what's the average family going to do? I mean, I'm single. I have I have a decent paying job, and it's like I'm seeing my disposable income. I'm glad I can bear like if I have to, I could pay extra, but it's like I don't want to. I want to be able to save money and what have you, provided that money is going to have value. But that being said, it's quite scary for the average family.
Mike, what do you think? Why do you think the Democrats stole the election?
Because my side didn't win.
I mean, the proof's been the pudding, man. I mean, I would rather have some mean tweets right about now. I don't know why you people did that.
What do you mean, you people? I'm not a Democrat.
If either side could get it, well, if the Republicans can get it together, I mean, this is a shoe-in. This is a shoe-in election.
To be clear, I don't believe there was a stolen election.
I know.
I have to put that disclaimer in there, like, guys, no. All of my Republican friends out there who are listening thinking, yeah, he's right. But,
well, it's also hilarious because, they've got this primetime thing, which they do, and then they don't do, and that nobody really freaking cares anymore. It's like, okay, we've seen enough footage with that. Can we move on? Can we not pay like $5 to $6 for gas? How about that? Can we start doing that?
Are you talking about the January 6th?
These hearings, it's ad nauseum now. And it's like, you're going to run on that. You've got food that's expensive. You've got gas that's expensive. You've got housing that's no longer affordable. You know what? We're going to go on prime time and screw them Republicans. You damn straight. And it's like, are you freaking tone deaf? Are you tone deaf, guys? Keep this economy from overheating and get things straightened out. It's like from the beginning, you're like, oh, this inflation's transitory. Oh, this is it's no problem. No, it's freaking continual, and it's permanent, right? No, not permanent, but it's continual is the word they're using.
Yeah,
we're in all these social issues, but how are you going to do that when you're putting people out on the street? That's amazing. So where's that plan? Yeah,
I do agree. It is not all the administration's fault. I hate the people that are it's all this, it's all that. So I know there are varying factors, but there are things that are making it worse. Like when you start handing out stimulus checks and start writing a $1 trillion bill to start paying people back, eventually you're going to have to start paying for that. 2 years ago, when we suddenly started getting checks and most Republicans were saying, hey, we're going to have to start paying for this shit. And they're like, hey, the Republicans don't want us to have money. Well, look at us now. We're paying for it.
Yeah, exactly. And everybody knew this was coming.
So
everybody, not everybody, but everybody needed those checks. It's like, okay, if you're laid off because of freaking COVID, what are you going to do? Okay, you don't have evictions. Now you can keep the heat on. Now you can do all this. Yeah, that comes at a cost. And I wouldn't have wanted to be in that position. And, thank goodness I wasn't. I didn't get a single stimulus check. But imagine being in that position, and are we still kind of out of it? But now, okay, there is a surplus of jobs. Is that job going to pay for your basic needs? Getting to work, paying the rent, and then paying food, and then paying, buying baby formula, buying, new clothes or just clothes in general for your family. I mean, are those issues getting taken care of? It's going to be a very, very interesting election. It's going to be.
Speaking of which, how's the hiring situation going for you, Mike?
Yes.
It's not as bad as the one episode I ranted on, but I still get there was I think a day or two ago I was gonna interview a security guard, and he was supposed to come in like at noon, and I got busy with something else, and around like 12:45 I was just kind of like, oh wait a second, I had an interview. And I went to the bartender and I was like, hey, did anyone come in asking for me? And she was like, no. I was like, okay, well, no sweat.
Cool. Bye. Yeah, all right.
And that's the way it is. It's not just with that, it's with other positions. And you're on the front line of that. It's got to be really freaking weird just to be ghosted as an employer.
I was thinking about that episode because right now I'm in talks with a company in North Carolina where I'm hopefully getting another job. But I'm like, already talks with the contact I know. Had a phone interview with HR, and I'm waiting on a call from their service manager, and we'll be like in talks. Everyone I've talked to so far, it is what Eddie described as that employees market. They're all like, yeah, dude, we'll put you where do you want to go? Because we'll put you there. We got work for you. What do you want? I'm like, I mean, it's kind of interesting because I'm like coming from a place of like, oh God, I hope he get a job. They're coming from a place of, oh God, I hope he comes to work for us. It's
and
weird.
Stays there, and then stays there. And okay, you're in the car, you've got your pod paid for, it's in front of the house, you're enjoying your trip with your wife. You get a phone call or a text that says, oh yeah, about that job. Yeah. Have you heard of Coinbase? Well, like that, but with Mitch, you know? There's also that fear. It's like that's tech heavy, you know.
Knock on wood here. That doesn't.
I was gonna say, yeah, you better get that contract signed.
Yeah, you better get it signed. But then even after you get it signed, it's under at will. So
yeah,
and at will is actually what little employment law I know. That's there to protect the employee from indentured servitude, you know. But companies kind of use it to their advantage too. So it's kind of a two-way street. But right now, it's like, you know, if you're a company, it's like, yeah, we want employees, but you know, you're gonna have all these demands, and it's legit. How do I get to work?
We kind of cut you off, Mike. Was there more? Like, have you found positions filled yet?
I forgot if I said this on here or if, or just in our group chat, but even I think it was a week or two ago, a security guard interviewed him. About a week later, I gave him a ring and told him, I was like, yeah, we want to bring you on. And he's like, great, I'm still interested. And I was like, cool. Wednesday, 5:30, come in, we'll get your paperwork done, and we'll start your training. And he's like, yeah, great. And even so, he's hired.
Done. And
he did not show up.
No.
It's more common than you think right now. More common.
Wow. No, I'm sure it is. Just and I'm preaching to the choir, but like even so, this week we interviewed 3 cooks. One we have already hired. He's going to start next week. And there's another one who
that
actually
you know
that
of.
Maybe he won't. But another guy messaged me a little bit before we started tonight, just asking like, "Hey, I'm just following up on my interview. I'm curious, like, you know, what's going on." Now tonight it's a little late, but like I'm absolutely going to message him back, saying that here's where we're at. Pretty much like we went a different direction. We got somebody else, but I'm keeping your application on file, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm not just going to leave him hanging because that's just disrespectful.
Yeah.
Even in like, this is different, but even when I'd audition a lot, right? When I was auditioning in LA a lot, I get it in audition. They're not going to call me and thank me for my time, but we're going a different direction. I get that. They're dealing with dozens and dozens of actors. But there was one night, I forgot if I've told you guys the story. If I have, you can cut me off. I was auditioning for this role. It was when I was younger, obviously. It was like a young mob kind of guy. And he's trying to get out, you know, go clean. And the boss doesn't want him to. So he confronts the boss and shoots him in his office.
Ooh.
And so I'm reading for the young guy. I finish my read. Director gives me a couple notes. Read again. Finish. He thanks me. I walk out. As I leave the front door of this place, he comes running out after me. And he's like, hey, we have a lot more guys reading for the boss, but like we don't have anyone scheduled for the younger guy. Do you happen to want to stay and keep reading? And I was like, yeah, it sounds like fun. Cool. And so I text my lady and I was like, hey, this is what's going on. I'm going to be a little late. And so I stay, and like the director and I are vibing. Like after every time I read with a guy, he thanks the guy, dismisses him, takes me aside and he's like, hey, how about this time you try it this way? So then the next guy comes in, I try it this way. He leaves. Cool, that was cool. How about this time we do it this way? And so I read with like 10 more guys, and we're vibing. And I didn't get a fucking message at all after that.
No.
Like, I get, if I just read and leave, fuck me. I get it.
Yeah. Ghost.
But if I stayed for like an hour and a half reading for this man, and I get if someone read before me or even after me and was better, I get it. But like, shoot me a message and be like, hey, thanks for sticking around. There's this, I don't know, the common courtesy. It's like, it goes a long way. And just coming back to where we're at, this cat who messaged me saying, where do I stand with my interview? It would be fucking disrespectful of me just to not hit him back. Mm-hmm. And that's where I don't know. We're repeating shit we already talked about, but
that's frustrating, and that's unfortunate. He knew he had you. He knew the vibe you were giving him. It's like, oh, goody, I'm in and everything, and then, but that's kind of Hollywood too, right? It's like,
no, I get it, but like in that, it wasn't like he was a big guy. It wasn't like he was a big studio. It was an indie shit, like a short film. He could just message me like, "Hey man, thanks for sticking around. I really appreciate it, but like we did, there's other auditions and we're going with someone else."
It's like, dude,
I would have been like, fine.
I stayed here for an hour and a half. You know I'm a struggling actor. Who's going to be at my apartment doing nothing if I'm here for an hour and a half, man? I get
Your
it.
condescension
Back to where
aside.
I came in, and actors don't work, and yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah, see, there you go. Those damn SAG after workers, they're
horrible.
They're fetishizing the grind, Mike. Oh man, it's so hard to audition.
That would have been interesting if you were a SAG actor and somebody did that to you. That would have been interesting too. I don't think they would have done that.
Ooh, yeah, not to a SAG actor. Probably not.
I'm just hoping people like listen to this and like leave in the comments like, Mitch, you piece of shit. You don't have no idea what it's like. It's like, granted, I don't know what it's like. I'm not living in your shoes. I know you struggle. Everyone has their struggles. Absolutely. I'm just saying you bitch too much. Calm down.
Well, it's like everybody is, kind of balls deep in their own struggle. And it's like everybody's struggling. It takes a second to get to that next level,
But be an adult and bury it down, complain to yourself in the mirror. That's what the mirror's for.
But then again, you have tweets and you have, it's even a struggle with, journalists who are Gen Z millennials. It's like they got to have an opinion about everything and they have to make it known. And it's like, no, you don't. Not in the corporate world, not, in the business. You kind of got to just be quiet and pick your fights. If you're going to pick every fight, guess what's going to happen? And that's what's happening.
Well,
that's the environment they've been raised in.
I've always believed the term objective journalism is an oxymoron. So it's, you're never going to get a journalist without sharing a little bit of an opinion, right?
Mm-hmm. But that's journalistic integrity. Just the facts, not your frickin' opinion.
Well, what's his name? The Dodgers announcer, the famous Dodgers announcer. What was Vince Scully?
Yeah.
Vince Scully, best sports announcer or one of the best sports announcers in history. Amazing. It could be hailed as a great example of journalism because what he did is he reported on the game. But even he let some of his opinions pull through every now and again when he's talking about that was it a Cuban player or whatever, where he's talking about the hypocrisy of communism in Cuba or whatever on one of the games. So like every journalist lets a little bit of opinion in. It has to be done. You can't. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, it doesn't have to be done. There was a car wreck.
Yeah, they don't have to be
out of it, and we don't.
They don't have to be human either. But a human condition is that they have to give their opinion. It's I'm saying have opinions, asking a journalist to be completely objective is asking for perfection, and I just don't think it's realistic to ask for.
Mm-hmm. Well, you kind of see that on the nightly news and what have you. It's just like, okay, here's what happened. You do get some opinion. You can hear it in their voice.
Right.
And, there's what you report on and what you don't report on.
Right. Yeah,
so,
that's true.
There's other ways around that too. But yeah, I think objective journalism is just kind of taking a hit because everybody's compartmentalized. We only see what we want to see and hear what we want to hear. And that's scary. That's kind of scary.
Well, I think,
go ahead.
I was going to say, I think journalism is 100% objective. It's when people start in commentary.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm a reporter and I say there was a car accident on the 15 and the 10, 3 cars were involved and 5 people were injured, that's journalist 100% objective. And then if I said, so let's talk about it, drunk driving, right? It's blah, 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 and I start talking about that. Now I'm a commentator. I'm no longer a journalist. So I think journalism is 100% objective. Commentary is completely not.
I guess
that's just the fact that people misrepresent themselves. They'll say I'm a journalist and then they'll go into commentary.
Oh, okay. So journalism in of itself can be objective or is objective.
I think is by definition objective. It's when you start blurring these lines, like you're representing yourself as a journalist, but then you start giving your opinions on things.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're not a journalist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You're a commentator.
And the opinion, in my opinion, the opinion has gotten more and more subtle. It's like how much, you see it with just simple coverage. Like let's say you are covering a crash and you have the camera positioned on the car that was at fault 70% of the time, and then the victims for 30% of the time. Just the simple coverage is, I don't know. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like even just the little subtle subconscious ways of getting your opinion. You give more coverage for one thing so that people focus on this one thing more than the whole picture. So it's kind of hard. I mean, again, back to the human condition, you can't help but be a little bit objective.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Professors in schools, another example. Like I'm sure you guys all have had those professors that were obviously leaning one way or the other. My favorite professors were always the ones that you could never really tell where they were. The ones that just told the lesson, and then you had.
I think part of that too is the subject being taught. Because like if it's a physics teacher, you're not going to get a lot of political opinion or anything. It's just like the physics.
True. Okay, yeah.
Math, same shit. It's when you start getting into like, I took a the term is
history.
History. Maybe. God,
the example I thought about, I had an American history teacher at Chafee who, by the end of the semester, I had no idea what he was because he was so just matter of fact. And anytime there was an issue, he would say, "This side says this side says that." There you go.
Good.
And it was
you make your own decision.
Exactly. It was one of my favorite professors, and I never found out, but where he leaned.
I was gonna say sociology.
Sociology.
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I still remember. I took a sociology class in junior college, and this was around the time of Hurricane Katrina, I believe. Around that time, huh?
Hurricane Katrina.
I forgot if it was like right around then or like a year before, but I remember the professor passed out this
in the middle of class?
Right before class, but passed out this paper where it was like an article detailing, I don't want to say, I'm not stating an opinion here, making an opinion, but it was this paper making the argument that George W. Bush's response to Hurricane Katrina was not good. It was blah, 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 blah. And so when she passed it out, I was like, okay, we're going to, it's a sociology class. I was like, we're going to talk about the article, how it applies to society, et cetera, et cetera. And she just never fucking talked about it. She literally passed out this article bashing Bush, which wherever you stand on Bush is irrelevant. And then just went into her lesson, nothing to do with the paper. I remember awesome. Even at the time, I was younger. I was kind of like, the fuck's happening right now? Like, why do we have this? It wasn't until like later I was like, oh, this woman has an opinion, and she just wanted to get it out there in some way.
That's awesome.
And it was just weird. Not to mention a waste of paper.
Everyone sit down. Welcome. George Bush doesn't care about black people, as Kanye West famously put it. He's a piece of shit. Now let's get back to our study on the oldest sibling related to the middle sibling. I see it. Yeah.
So and then not to mention, in theater, it's very prevalent, and not just with like liberals. I've actually had like theater people who are like ultra conservative, and no matter where you sit, if you're in a theater department, everyone knows.
Oh yeah,
where you sit.
I've never met any moderate people in theater. They're either one way or the other extremely. Okay, but no, in your experience being in theater, have you ever met very many other moderate people?
Not very. I know a couple. I know a few.
I know a couple, sure, but we can argue exceptions all day.
What a contrast
they
is.
exist.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you. I said they exist.
Well, it's a contrast because the one time I did take a journalism class at a community college was 12 years ago, and I went in kind of like as journalism is now, believe it or not, as the vlogger. My example was Hunter S. Thompson. It's like he's a part of the story. He's in the story and he's unabashed about it, and that's that type of journalism. It's called gonzo journalism. And two professors, one was about to retire, and another one was getting up there. They're just said, well, you've got to learn basic journalism first and be extremely objective, just the facts. And he didn't say it to me directly, he just kind of said it to somebody else that I just happened to be in earshot. It's one of those things. But I mean, you take that, I'm either a trailblazer who didn't pursue it, or that's the essence of journalism. You just report on the facts. It doesn't need to involve you. And now we get everybody's a Hunter S. Thompson. No, they are the story. And it's their opinion of what happened. It's not all about what happened. It's the selfie that they took, I think, alongside the car wreck.
That's true. I think there is a balance to be had, though. Like, I won't. I can name names. It doesn't matter. There are like professionals out there who like they'll say, okay, here's what happened. Here's the story. Here are the facts. Blah 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 blah. And then they'll make a clear shift to say, okay, those are the facts. Let's talk about how we feel about it. But they make a clear transition between here's what happened, here are the facts, and then here's now we're going to talk about it and how we feel about it. I don't have a problem with that. I just have a problem when the line is blurred to where you're still presenting yourself as presenting facts. When in reality, you're presenting your skewed opinion on the facts. But you're playing it off as both.
Here's something I just thought of, and it's why I said earlier that journalism or journalists, objective journalists is an oxymoron, is because I cannot think, and this is a personal thing, I cannot think of an example of a purely objective journalist in my life right now. I know there have been in the past. Tom Brokaw was pretty good. There was others in the past that were pretty objective, but right now, all the major journalists that I can think of, they send their opinion right along with it. So it's kind of, maybe it was a generational thing. I don't know. Can you guys think of any?
Now, when you say that, you mean like my example right now was someone who presented the facts and then made a clear change to their opinion. You mean someone who did no opinion?
Yeah, someone who is completely objective, someone who can report on an event and remain purely about the event. Because I hear what you're saying, because, you know, all the best journalists right now do that. It's like, you know, they come up, now they're like stopped bullshitting about it, and they'll just come out and say, we're not objective. This is what happened. Here's what we think. Kind of thing.
Good.
And,
yeah, I'd rather hear that. To
right,
your
of course,
point, Lester Holt. Watch Lester Holt in the nightly news. He's the anchor, NBC.
Okay.
I think he's pretty objective.
Okay, yeah.
Here's what happened.
So
I watched The Daily Show, so
yeah, and that's the interesting thing. And I watch Last Week Tonight, and it's interesting.
I like Last Week Tonight.
Get their news from comedians.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and
yeah.
they're highly subjective.
I get mine from,
I do like it spun like that, though. I do like the little comedy in it.
Yeah, I do too. It's like I love Bill Maher. It's like I disagree with his opinions most of the time, but it's like I love his kind of you know, here's where I'm coming from, and I don't care what you think. You can change the channel if you want. You know,
have you listened to him recently?
I've seen clips of him recently.
Yeah, listen to him now. It's like even he's going, "What the flip is going on here?" This is
about he's I know he's leaning a little anti-progressivism or super progressive.
Very much so. It's
anti-woke.
And he calls himself a bleeding heart, but he's going, "What the fricker's going?" Yeah, it's amazing. Even he's fed up.
I love Bill Maher. It was sometime in the last year where he was interviewing someone who was more conservative leaning, and he was just ripping on Democrats. Like, the Democrats are worthless. They're not getting shit done. They're blah, 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 blah. And the person was like, aren't you a Democrat? And he's like, no, I'm not a Democrat. And he's like, I thought you like voted Democrat. He's like, yeah, I vote Democrat because they're the closest to me, but they all fucking suck. And it was just like an interesting perspective. Of like,
I mean, yeah.
He's just like kind of liberal guy. But he's like, but the Democrats are bullshit.
But that represents, seriously, 70% of the country who are like, no, I don't know if I'm one way or the other, you know, kind of middle ground. I just vote for this one because they're closer to me or they're closest to
what
me.
My direction that I want to see the country go in.
Right. So
at that moment, swing voters.
Do you guys think America's kind of polarized at the time right now? Or?
Not
Very
at all.
much so. Very much so.
Not at all.
How can you not see it? And then you have these conversations and you realize how polarized it is, and it's so freaking scary. You know, just at a
yeah, who says me? Because I was about to run off a union worker off the road today, and you know, I've got axes to grind, man. I'm sorry. That's the name of this episode, Axes to Grind. Mitchell is just he's in a weird place right now. I'm sorry. I don't know.
Having a discussion. It's like you can't even have a reasonable discussion. It's like, what do you think's going on in Ukraine? Well, you know, Putin's right. He's going after the child molesters, and he's going after this. And it's like, holy shit! I had respect for you a second ago, you know. And it's like, do I want to get into this? You know, feeding the hungry? And it's like, no, I don't. And it's like, okay, let me just.
Well, and that's
you know? It's like, I can't believe that. And on the other end, it's like, okay, all we're gonna do is discuss, you know. The world is like just one big trans issue, and it's like that's all we're gonna focus on. You know, have you been?
Well, Eddie, from what you said earlier, we can only focus on one thing at a time, right?
Well, when you're in charge of the country, you're in charge of everything.
So you can focus on different things all at the same time.
You have to.
Okay. Interesting.
Well, don't you?
No, I'm agreeing. It's just interesting to hear you say that.
Yes, as a president, it's like you get one question about our policy toward Ukraine and Moldova and how much money we're going to spend over there. Your very next question has to do with fishing subsidies in New England and how we've been supporting them. Should we increase those? Well, how can we do that at the same time?
But that doesn't matter. What about gas prices?
Well, everybody's feeling.
Well, hold on. What about the trans issues, Eddie?
Mm-hmm.
What about January 6th? Or is that too much now? I'm picking on you now, Eddie.
Absolutely. Well, pick your battle. Do you want the economy? Because we can have that. You're going to have your fish and eat it, or you're going to have your cake and eat it too. So somebody needs to be up on the economy and be up on social issues to what you like. It's so boutique. Before it was.
I think we're seeing. I have a theory right now. What do you guys think? Because I think what we're seeing right now was the fact that during the 2020 election, the priorities were social issues. The fact that Donald Trump was tweeting and being irresponsible, and he was kind of a national embarrassment for the things he said, that was priority for a lot of Americans. The fact that he was just an unlikable guy. So the 2020 election priority was really social issues, and we voted that way. And now the priority has suddenly changed to economic, and it's kind of like, oh shit, well, now that's the issue. Now that's the priority. I'm not saying
it went there real quick.
It's an interesting kind of thing I just thought of, but I don't know. What do you think?
Absolutely, because it was all social issues, and it's like the priority, let's just say it was get Trump out of office. You're either for Trump or you don't like Trump. And I don't know, for me, it's like you could be a little bit more presidential guy. And it's like, okay, we have a unified, we have a Democratic president. Okay, we can move forward. Now we're having financial issues. What are you doing about the economy? But wait, you held me on social issues.
Well,
but you wrote the stimulus checks that caused this inflation. So
my conspiracy mind is now saying like, well, the issue at the time, 2020, was to get Trump out of office and get a likable guy in there. We did it, problem solved, done. And then now all these problems arise. Well, shit, what do? Oh, we have to remind them that the issue was getting Trump out of office. That's why the January 6th thing is still going around. So that's my conspiracy mind. I know that's not 100% true, but it's just like you can't help but see these parallels. I don't know. I'm sounding kind of crazy right now. I know.
Well, it's whoever was going to get elected, be it Trump or be it Biden right now. I just know whoever was going to get elected is going to be a one-term president, because all these issues are going to come to head. All that stimulus, Trump initiated that stimulus because it's what the country needed. Then we keep going. We want to rebuild America. We want to work on infrastructure. Cool, we're doing that. Now people can't afford gas. People can't afford food. People can't afford housing. So there's going to be a reckoning.
It would have been Trump's. It would have been Trump's second term anyway. So he would.
I think Eddie. What Eddie meant was whoever was going to be in the office was set up to fail.
Was going to get hell. Was going to get hell regardless of what happened. Yeah, regardless of how the coin flipped. It was because I was even saying, well, if you really like Trump, then the best thing to do is, he steps down and then he steps back up, because the president right now is catching hell. And had there been a clean exit, had there been a clean traditional exit, that could have been, the future. But it's like, it just didn't turn out that way. And oh my goodness, it's just a mess. It's just a mess. And we're supposed to be in charge of the world, or we're, our policy, we want to export our policy and what have you. And, traditionally we've done that through our economy. But it's going to be interesting. And I got angry watching 2 or 3 years ago, a talk that was given at Harvard, where United States is going to have to get used and accept to being second place in the world, right behind China. Because under a dictatorship, it's much easier.
Oh, yeah.
It's much easier to run your economy. If the guy's in charge for life, they don't worry about elections. It's smooth, So I didn't like hearing that, but seeing the way things are going, it's like, yeah, that's what the future is looking like. And that's scary. That's scary. Because yeah, we've seen China's issue. We've seen China deal with social issues, haven't we? You want that kind of policy floating around?
Well,
You think you're oppressed here?
Here's an interesting theory I've had for the past couple months is that if you believe history repeats itself and you want to look on examples where socio-political history kind of repeats itself, you look at John F. Kennedy being this awesome leader, and he left too soon. And next person in line was this belligerent Republican that no one really liked and kind of left in disgrace. And then he was replaced by a one-term guy named Jimmy Carter, who just had a gas crisis, who had an immigration crisis, had a world relations crisis. And all this time, meanwhile, Russia was building up power, making us look like the chumps. And then Jimmy Carter went out of office, and in come Ronald Reagan, and whatever. Compare that to JFK being like President Obama, who everyone loved, and he did a lot of good things, replaced by a belligerent Republican who no one really liked, but actually kind of left office in disgrace, replaced by a Democrat who is facing a gas crisis and an immigration crisis and a world relations crisis, with this other communist country kind of growing power over time and making us look like chumps. It's an interesting kind of parallel. I'm like hoping that the next Reagan might be coming along, but that's my bias. So,
well, history does repeat itself, definitely. But yeah, okay, on top of everything you have this infrastructure, this plan to, you could say make America, it's essentially the same thing. Biden wants to do it, with infrastructure. Okay, we got bridges, but my food, it's like expensive now. And just getting to work, that's expensive too. And my rent, that's expensive too. And now my credit card bills is expensive too because interest rates got raised. So
I saw one of those electric road signs that says you're only allowed to water your lawn on Monday or Tuesday, Thursday, and then odd number addresses are allowed to water their lawn on Wednesday, Friday kind of thing. Reminded me of the gas crisis in the 70s where it says odd number license plates can get gas on Monday, Wednesday, Do you remember that, Eddie? I know we weren't around, but
I don't remember that. I don't remember gas lines or anything like that. But water is so completely different. You can't, water's it's kind of strange because we do have an ocean out there. You guys know that, right? And
No. You can't desalinate because that will hurt the fish.
Yeah. That's true.
Was that why? I thought it was just a money thing.
Anyway. That being said, what are you going to do about the Colorado River? I mean, the feds are stepping in and say, you guys, we got to do something. But how do you control a drought, or how do you control consumption? You know
what? Next episode, we're going to talk about this drought. Okay. We're going to talk about this drought, and they call it a drought. We've been in a drought for 1,000 years. Okay. We'll get into it later.
I'm just kind of
that's a heads up for what's coming next.
I've always been confused on how they enforce that. Like, so because my sprinklers are set to go off at like 5 a.m. Like, I think 2 or 3 times a week. I adjusted it just to be a good citizen, but so if I schedule them 4 times a week at 5 a.m, is someone coming to my patrolling the neighborhood at 5 a.m? Every morning, just looking, like how are they enforcing it?
What they do is monitor bills, how much water you actually use. If they ask you to cut 20% and they notice that it goes up, they start looking into why. And then you get some government worker, axe to grind. I'm sorry.
I asked the question. You answered it. That makes sense. The bill.
Yeah.
The bill.
But no, I told you how they monitor, but then, I get into the, and then they spend money on this and all that. They spend money hiring a guy to come around and check your water usage, but they don't spend money on building a reservoir or preparing for a drought that we've had for thousands of years, but whatever.
We do live in a desert, don't we?
Technically, yeah.
We steal our water from Northern California. We've never technically had a water source, to quote Bill Burr. It's like a shortage of water is not new. Why are we building a bullet train? I said we'd save it for another episode, but whatever.
Well, and that being said, and that's where the oil, because there was a train to Las Vegas, who came in and said, oh, this is just ridiculous, and tore it up. The oil companies. Why would they do that? Why would the oil companies want you to drive to Vegas? I don't know.
Do you mean to say that corporations are not moral? Crazy.
And, well, that's the thing. Well, it's the corporation's job to make money, and that's exactly what they did. And then who's in charge of who's in charge of making sure you're getting elected, and who writes the laws? And it's this odd little cycle. And we get into the fact that, are we a democratic society? Well, these are the people we put in, and yeah, it does keep going round and round. At what point are they speaking for the people? The Federal Reserve should not be answering to Wall Street. Why is it taken this long to raise interest rates? Because they're friends with them. They used to be bankers too, and it's like, okay, what about us?
Yeah,
what's taxing more?
What's the one job that's guaranteed under the First Amendment? The right to lobby. It's the First Amendment, right? Yeah, the lobbyist. Yeah.
Yeah, freedom of speech.
And the free. I gotta look it up. Hold on, before I misquote that.
Get your Constitution.
I'm not gonna look it up. I'm just gonna wing it like most people.
And
do.
It's scary. And these are common. These are old as the hills. It's just other generations are experiencing it, and it's really interesting, fascinating, scary, growing pains. And don't forget, we're a freaking young country. We're a young country. We're a young, rich-ass country with all these growing pains that these other civilizations, that have been around, they've gone through it. And is there peace? Sometimes, but not always.
Sorry, Mike. I feel like we're steamrolling you. We're just like, me and Eddie are just going.
Well, he's not like he's being me, because I usually just kind of sit back and let you guys go. So it's like,
no, I'm taking it in.
He's taking it in.
You guys are gonna be like me later tonight at like 2 a.m. I'm gonna be lying in bed like, hey, hang on, motherfucker. No, hang on.
Yeah, and that's more fuel for the fire. But where do we go from here? What's gonna
we got midterms this November, y'all.
Yeah, there's going to be a reckoning. I mean, that reckoning has already come. Even pollsters on both sides are saying, that Biden better watch it, the Democrats better watch it, because this isn't happy. People can look at their pocketbooks and know what's up.
From what I've seen, let's take an objective look at what both sides are kind of setting up for the midterms, because I'm seeing Republicans saying just, straight economy, and I've seen Democrats say, January 6th and guns, January 6th and guns, which kind of, they're all kind of falling back on the same tactics, don't you think?
Social issues.
I think when the time comes for people to really get their points across, the economy is not going to be an issue. And if it is an issue, it's going to be an exaggerated, sensationalized issue. Because there are obviously economic issues right now, but nobody ever runs on economic issues because it's not sexy.
Well, putting money back in your pocket, that seems pretty sexy to me.
No, I agree. And to a rational person, absolutely. But are they going to listen to that, or are they going to listen to a Republican ranting about CRT and a Democrat ranting about guns? That's more interesting to watch, and that's what you're going to vote on.
Well,
that's true.
Maybe.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's what historically elections come down to.
I disagree. I think they will bank on the economy, and I think now that we have millennials at a point in their lives where the economy actually does matter when it comes to interest rates and buying a house, or the unemployment and social issues and taxes, millennials are finally starting to see how much the economy actually affects them, because they're not living off their parents anymore. And like, what was I going to say? I forgot. But if they stick to the economy, not only is it an appeal, in my opinion, an appeal to the general votes, but it's also an appeal to the major donors. The major donors are the ones that are being affected the most by this economy, and that's what's going to affect their donations. And whatever politician gets the most money from these donors, they're usually going to be sitting in a good spot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go on, Eddie. Sorry.
Well, I just think both sides, they're just yeah. Okay, so the legislature, I don't get it, because
the
Republicans, to me, the Republicans are a shoo-in. The Republicans are a shoo-in with the way this economy is going. And, if it's social issues, if that's what the people want, it's like, okay, you're going to get that more of the same. And then we're going to have $10 a gallon. But damn that oil, oil is bad. Oil is bad. What's the replacement for it? Have we gotten that far yet? Oh, it'll come. Necessity is the mother of invention, yada, yada, yada. But then the Republicans, they go and then they push abortion. And it's like, now's not the time. Now's not the time, guys. Mm-hmm. And then it's 100%. Like, you just screw yourself.
Well, that's what I was kind of
later, but now you're going to do that now when you're chewing?
But that's kind of what I was gonna get to, Eddie. Was so right now, because it is right now, the Democrats are kind of taking more of the social issue, which is weird because I feel like it was the opposite previous election. But the Democrats are focusing on the social issues, kind of talking about January 6th, guns, etc. And then there is the
Roe v. Wade.
Sure, yeah, sure. And then and I'm picking on Republicans because right now it's a Republican thing, but this is Democrats are guilty of this shit too in the past. So January 6th, Eddie, I kind of picked on you earlier. January 6th, there are the hearings going on, and then so Republicans are going. The people don't want it. They're tired of January 6th. We should be talking about gas prices and the economy. But then if you looked at that person and said, okay, what do we do about it then? They don't have a solution.
Yeah. And it's
so that's my point.
About January 6th too, when you don't have a solution.
But that's my point. So I personally don't have when I was picking on you earlier because you were like January 6th. There's all these other things. I have no problem with the January 6th hearings while still be concerned about other things. My point is our political landscape, and Democrats are guilty of this too. I'm just using Republicans as the example right now, to where this thing's going on, right? So we don't like that thing. We don't want to talk about that thing. So we're going to say, what about this thing? Why aren't we talking about this thing? But then if you turn it and say, okay, let's talk about that thing that you want to talk about. What do you want to do?
See what
90% of the time, no one, they'll just say, well, like there's no solution.
What's the plan to solve
yeah,
issues?
exactly.
In my opinion, what you're describing is what Rush Limbaugh coined as calling drive-by politics, which was a regular drive-by something media, which was a regular tool used largely by Democrats during the Bush administration and during Trump, is that they would constantly point out all the wrong things, all the bad things that are happening. And by the time everyone shifts focus to try to address that issue, they've moved on to the next bad issue.
But you're hitting it, and granted, you said they did it during Bush and Trump, and I would agree, but the Republicans also did it during Obama. Yeah, and they're doing it. That's what I'm saying. It's a universal thing that they do.
Politics.
Because even McConnell during Obama was, I actually give it to him, obstructionist as fuck, because that's where he stood. Yeah,
they're all lawyers.
But that's my point.
They're all lawyers. They know
and Mitch, you hit the thing on the head though, and that's where right now I'm using Republicans as the example, is that they want to say we don't like this thing, so let's talk about this thing. And then like Eddie said, okay, so what's your approach for this thing? Then it's like, well, we have to get a plan together and do this and that. And I'm using Republicans as the example again, but Democrats do it all the fucking time too in the past. So what I would like to see is anybody, actually, if they want to say, not that thing, let's talk about this thing. Cool. What about that thing? Bring a solution to the table or shut the fuck up. Mm-hmm. As a politician, us, we can bitch about everything without solutions. That's our job. A politician, if you want to bitch about it, come with an idea. Come with a plan.
Well, nobody holds them accountable either.
That's true.
Know? Well, and these January 6 hearings, is there any dissent? Is there any opposing views?
Right? Is there anyone saying like, well, hang on,
let's view this objectively. Let's get all the facts. No, it's a parade. It's on prime
I disagree.
Time, so everybody could watch it. And then they'll stop it without saying why they're stopping it. It's just,
That was kind of weird. That was Wednesday, right?
Well, hey, why did you do that? Let's move on, But it's all grandstanding, and it achieves nothing. It doesn't make our bills cheaper. It doesn't do anything.
Even if you hate Mike Pence, you can say Mike Pence is coming out as saying like, no, this was terrible. The president asked me to do this, and I wanted no part of it. And this is why the rush happened. So even Mike Pence is like, no, I'm with you guys. This was terrible. So I hear you. There is a point to this, Eddie. I'm agreeing to the point you're making is that, yeah, who's disagreeing here?
I don't think it's a point of disagreeing that it's bad. The point, because I've been watching the hearings out of curiosity. 100% honest, boring as fuck.
Yeah.
What?
I wish they would put some special effects in there or something. But no, I've been watching them. I think the point they're trying to make, which I agree with to an extent, I think they might be being a little dramatic about it, is they're trying to show everyone what happened behind the scenes, which a lot of that shit's repetitive. But I don't have a problem with it. I personally don't have a problem with it. It's boring as fuck. We can still focus on other things while focusing on that. That's my point, Eddie. I made it earlier. Like, we can still have this thing and still worry about other shit. But I have no problem with it. It's whatever to me.
I think the Democrats might be shooting themselves in the foot with how they prioritize this, because, with there was a class action lawsuit against the city of Seattle because they let Kazakhstan or whatever the fuck they called it go on for a month or whatever during the BLM riots.
Was that the
And-
like the independent nation
Law-free
in the middle
zone
of?
or whatever.
Chaz, whatever. They took over like 2 square blocks of the city or whatever, and there was all
I
these
remember.
businesses that got destroyed and put out of business, and there was a class action lawsuit about that. I haven't seen any kind of coverage about that whole insurrection, even though they deliberately called themselves an insurrection. But I mean, I'm not at all defending the January 6th at all. I think it was horrible and disgraceful. But things can be worse than that. Am I wrong?
Things could always be worse. Yeah.
Well,
I think-
there was a deliberate attempt to break into a session of Congress
I think that's the
that was
difference. though.
having a hearing on elections. You know, that's a bad thing. Insurrection of any sort, you know, is it's not looked on favorably by the federal government. But when you do it on the steps of the Capitol at the seat of the federal government, that does take a priority. Now, I agree. It's like if you're doing insurrection at the state level and there's, you know, you have a class action lawsuit being filed, that's significant. At the end of the day, what has more cameras on it? What has more people talking?
What's
And
more
then what's
sexy?
going to toe your party line?
I think if Republicans really wanted to battle against the January 6th thing, they would start raising investigations about the federal buildings destroyed during the 2020 riots, or the people that were killed during the riots, or the people that were killed during the CHOP and all that. If they really wanted to investigate and play the same kind of game, that might be a fruitless game. I don't know, but
Well,
I think
wasn't that game played with, you know, Russian collusion and what have you? That was all grandstanding too. Whatever became of that? Hey, we spent all this money on lawyers. We did all this thing. You know what we found? Zero. All right.
Moving on.
But our friends got paid because those friends are lawyers too. So they did the research. So, you know, it's all good. It's all good, folks.
I don't know, man. I'm just spitting opinions and theories out here.
Well, you know, everybody has, we're able to do that. And I, you know, thank goodness, thank God our country's set up like this, but we're not alone. We're just voicing the frustrations that everybody else feels, you know?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, what I'm feeling is just like, to me, it's the economy. It's like money is policy, and that, you know, there's only so much revenge travel and, that you're going to get through until it gets really uncomfortable. And when it's been made clear that the inflation isn't going away anytime soon.
Yeah.
You know, I'm doing okay. But what are people who aren't doing okay? How are they faring? Where are they getting their food? Where are they sleeping? How are they paying their electric bill? How are they getting to work? That's what concerns me.
Mm-hmm.
OnlyFans.
But yeah, but I mean, of all the rambling shit I've done tonight, one thing I know for sure is union workers need to just calm down. They're not that great. Okay, no one is.
Well, unions were also brought in at a time where you had, you know, 5-year-old kids working, and
they've overstayed their welcome. Just calm down.
And the conditions.
Well, let me tell you something, Eddie. If you join the local 407.
Well, man, okay, so on the opposite end of that, when I used to work for a pharmacy benefits manager, just, you know, fielding, you know, calls for medication through a remote pharmacy and what have you, the best plans that I encountered were like retired Teamsters. It's like, that's $1,000 worth of medication, and it costs you $0.00. Damn.
Teamsters,
so about
man.
me being a Teamster, that's not bad. You know?
Teamsters Union, the Dock Workers Union.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you want to know why it took so long to get your goods last year? It was the Dock Workers Union, man.
Well, where else are you going to go? What other dock are you going to go to? Who else are you going to hire here?
I have no proof. I just blame people that are in the crosshairs.
Well, you're only as fast as your slowest bottleneck. If there's a labor shortage, if a crane breaks down, you know, if trucks can't get in, if trucks can't get fuel, all of that plays into the supply chain. But then,
the dock workers, I can blame the state for giving them welfare and going on sick leave. I could blame the unions for allowing it to happen. I can blame China for their shitty boats. I don't know. I mean,
or you could blame, American factories not producing. Why do we have to rely on China? I could blame
the Republicans for not masking up quick enough and letting the virus go on longer than it should have. I can blame whoever I want. So.
Yeah, but then again, how far is that going to get you? How far in this country, money is policy, and if that is being taken away from us,
it'll get me all the way to my own podcast and to get someone to post it because they agree.
Yeah,
and then you go to imright.com and hey, this guy knows what he's talking about. We should vote for him.
Exactly. And we were supposed to be making money off of Steam, the social media platform and crypto. And man, that was my Steam account was worth $5,000 at one point, and now it's like worth 50 or something like that. But
Steam,
I didn't
like
put
the
any
gaming
money into it. And if you guys want Steam, I'll sell you some Steam. It's like no. You guys even know about that? No.
No, I know Steam as the gaming platform.
STEEM. 2 E's.
Oh, no, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was supposed
I was
to be
super
a social
confused.
platform where you get credibility, and then you take those tokens, you exchange it for Bitcoin, and then you exchange it for real money.
Oh my God.
I thought you meant the video game platform. And so when you were saying like making all this money off of Steam, I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Are you a game developer now? What is that?
But anyways, now if you believe in platforms, now's a great time to buy stocks. If you buy a car, if you see a damn loaf of bread, if you see a honey baked frickin' ham at 20 to 30% off, that's a good deal, right? You go for it if you need a honey baked damn ham. You will in November at Thanksgiving. You can buy it now, stick it in the freezer. Stocks, crypto are experiencing that low valuation, and people get scared when they go down. So,
Eddie, if you bring a honey baked ham to my Thanksgiving, you won't be invited.
What?
You're
the best ham.
Are you having a Friendsgiving personal?
Of course I am.
It's pretty close to the day.
Of course I am. But you bring a honey baked ham to Thanksgiving?
Yeah, doesn't everybody do that? Well,
Yeah,
in addition to a turkey and a ham.
Yeah, turkey and ham. Yeah.
Okay, maybe. I don't know.
I hear what
you're
I was a little triggered.
Mike. I know ham is weird. It's more of an Easter and Christmas thing, I think. But I've heard of ham on turkey on Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Yeah, you have both. You don't say screw the turkey. No, you're gonna have damn well have the bird. But that being said, my point is, every stocks are, interestingly enough, the one thing that people don't buy when they should, when the price goes down. And if it's a sustainable company, why wouldn't you?
That's the key word, though. Sustainable. Being cryptocurrency, there's still that.
Yeah, crypto, you're not insured.
Yeah.
You can go down. You're not FDIC insured. You can up and just go away, and it's all good.
Guys,
we're running Walmart, Amazon, a Procter and Gamble.
We're on an hour and a half here now, guys. I think we're getting late here.
Oh, goodness. I want to bring one more thing up, kind of ironically. Maybe we'll close with this. I don't know. When I was at the Mandalay Bay, when was this? Was it 2006, 7, something like that? I was sitting at a poker table. This guy, bald head, comes and sits down. He's kind of happy, like kind of wearing a shirt like mine.
Was it you in the future?
It was me in the future, more so than you think. So his wife's like behind him. A host comes up and says, hey, we've got your spa appointments. Is there anything else? I know you guys just arrived. I got you to see at the poker table. Anything else I can do for you? They're like, no, we'll be in contact. And the guy starts talking. He's like, we're going to be here for a month anyway, so it doesn't matter. And then blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, my family owns Revlon, blah, 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 and it's like, oh, that's interesting. And now what's up with Revlon? Going into bankruptcy. Interesting. How much was he spending at that poker table?
Well, more than what Revlon's worth, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
That's true. So it's fascinating. It's like a big name like Revlon, and then Kylie starts putting out her makeup and
buy gold. Like, buy gold and guns. Buy gold and guns, and you'll be fine. Just buy gold, buy guns, and protect the gold with the guns. Sure. Have lots of kids and give all those kids guns and protect all the gold.
Well, that's the advantage of Bitcoin, because it's like, if I wanted to send gold to you, How do I do that? How do I send
God.
gold to you right now? If I want to pay for something in gold, how do I do that? How long is it going to take? Yeah. What if I get into a car wreck? What if the intermediary that I give the gold to gets into a car wreck and it gets stolen? Then we're both out. However, a digital one-way transfer can happen in 15 minutes, as much as you want.
Yeah.
This episode brought to you by Eddie sucking crypto's dick.
This episode
all the
not
time.
Brought to you by Revlon. Revlon, you bit it.
Or we should advertise them. They're like, we should advertise Soup Plantation. Man, have you tried their chicken noodle? Oh, that stuff is awesome.
This episode brought to you by Radio Shack. Radio Shack. When you need that resistor now.
I'm not sure if you guys, this is actually good. I got somebody to pick up our show and start transcribing it into like videos and everything. So this episode's brought to you by Blockbuster. You could rent our episodes.
Behind rewinds
in person.
All
right,
when you're done with this episode, if you can rewind it, that'd be great.
Yeah.
But,
so all this shit considered, let's close out on a philosophical argument.
All right.
Quick philosophical argument.
All right.
So, based on a true story. Server goes to a table, takes the order from the table. Customer says, "I'd like the nachos, please." Server says, "Okay, do you want any meat on them? Chicken, beef, anything?" Server or customer says, "No, just the nachos, no meat." Server says, "Okay, cool." Server puts the order in. Some time passes. Nachos come out. Server puts the nachos down, walks away. A few minutes later, the customer flags the server. Server comes over. Customer says, "Chicken?" So the server's like, "Oh, I didn't put chicken on the order. I'm sorry." And looks, and there's no chicken on the nachos. And she's like, "Oh, there's no, what was the problem?" She goes, "There's no chicken on these." And the server says, "Yeah, you ordered with no chicken, correct?" And she's like, "Yeah." And she's like, oh, the server's like, "What's the problem?" And she's like, "I want chicken now. Now I want chicken nachos. Now I want chicken on the nachos." So the server's like, "Okay, well, you did order them without chicken, correct?" And she's like, "Yes, I want chicken now." So the server says, "How about this? I'll put the charge on, the bump charge. Chef could cook the chicken, and we could bring the chicken out so you could put it on top of the nachos."
Makes sense.
Customer says, "It's not the same because the chicken won't be melted in with the cheese. I'd like a new order." So, philosophical argument. Should the customer have to pay for a whole new order of nachos, or should the restaurant provide the new order of nachos?
No, the restaurant should not supply it, but they should give that to her. Says, "Hey, I can bring you chicken, and we'll bump you up for this plate of nachos, or I can make a whole new plate of nachos, and we're going to charge you for both. Which would you like?"
Good.
That's what
I like
do.
that. I wasn't even going to do that. It's like, no, your chicken's going on the side. You made the decision. Mitch is much more amicable, much more customer driven than I would be.
It's like, you're right. It's not the same. I can make you the actual thing. I'm going to have to charge you for it, though. I'm not, what am I going to do with this plate of uneaten nachos? You ordered nachos with no meat. So
you made that specific.
Yeah. No, you know what I would do? I would take it back. Or no, I would leave it there. I would leave it there, and I'd come back with the plate of the nachos with the chicken on it, like cooked the way it should, and put it both on the receipt and hand it to him. I wouldn't even give him the option. I would just put it both on the receipt. So there you go. Well, you ordered 2 plates of nachos, one with meat, one without.
Yeah, outstanding. Outstanding.
All right, cool. I
probably
thought there might be more of an argument.
It's not the same. Here's what you ordered, right?
I would probably lose business and get a horrible Yelp review, and my business as a whole would probably suffer for it. And the long-term effects would be way worse than just eating the cost of 1 plate of nachos. But you know what? I was right, and that's all that matters.
Throw a damn it in there.
Damn it.
So I'll make it quick since we're getting a little long, but this is, like as I said, based on a true story when I was bartending. What actually happened, and this is where I actually told the real story, and on my Facebook, this is years ago, it was actually an argument on my Facebook.
What?
So what actually happened, and granted it was the same thing, but so, and this comes into play, the woman I was serving asked for the nachos, no chicken, in a to-go box for some reason. Not a huge important detail, but it kind of comes into play. So when I brought it out, I came over and she was like, "Chicken?" And I was like, "There's no chicken on it." And she's like, yeah, that's like, I want chicken. We had that discussion. And I was like, okay, I told her, I was like, if you want me to ring in a new plate for you, I have to ring it in and you're going to have to pay for it. And she was like, I don't get it. Like, what happened to the customer's always right? And I was like, and that's a trigger word for me. Is customer's always right? Because it's bullshit.
Like you admitted you changed your mind. You were
yeah.
right.
So, and this is kind of a side thing, but there's two ways to complain about an order being wrong. When I say wrong, I don't mean cooked incorrectly. Like if you order a steak medium rare and it comes out well done, that's a different thing. What I'm talking about is if you order something that comes out wrong, like the wrong thing comes out. There's two ways to go about it. Either one, the server messed up and put the wrong order in, and you address that. Or two, you apologize sincerely, almost aggressively apologize that you put the wrong thing in. Can I please get this other thing that I actually meant to put in? Two ways to go about it. You admit you're wrong, or the server's wrong. And you're apologetic if you're wrong. So this woman violated that because she knew she put in the wrong thing, but it was somehow my fault. So I kind of was like, you put this order in, you got what you ordered. Because I did get the privilege of my position was I could get a little nippy with customers, and I'm not getting fired. Just to be, Mitch, you're in the same position, I'm sure.
All the time. It happened today. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but and so I kind of got nippy with her, and I was like, "This is what you ordered," and she's like, "Yeah, but now I want chicken on it, melted in the cheese." And I was like, "Okay, you know what?" And I finally got tired of it. I was like, "You know what? That's what you want. Fine, I'll put it in, no extra charge." And I grabbed the to-go box of nachos she had, and I fucking slammed it in the trash can next to me, because I was like, "You're not eating this shit." I didn't say that out loud, but I was like, "You're not eating this one if I'm making you a new one." And she went fucking silent. She just because I didn't slam it. I'm exaggerating, but I did take the box and threw it in the trash can nearby.
Yeah.
And she went silent. And I put the order in under like a comp tab. Order came back out. I gave it to her. I was like, "Here, it has chicken on it. Here you are." And she was just like, "I'll pay extra for it if that's." I didn't mean to make you upset. And we we talked it out. And by the time she left, we were all good and happy.
Sure.
But just the fact that when I posted that on Facebook, I got pushback that I had bad customer service because I refused to remake her nachos a different way. And that's where I was like,
man.
okay, but I was like, let's have a conversation about it. And that's where like you guys both agreeing with me immediately. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I think customers have bad server service. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, if it's a high-class restaurant, yeah, that's the way you handle it. Well,
I wonder how...
I want this. No, I changed my mind. Give me something else. Okay, you're charged for that as well.
I wonder how much of that has changed. The claim that the server got it wrong or that my order is incorrect with the implementation of ordering your food at tables now. You know, Red Robin, I was at a Red Robin last month, and they have the little thing at your table that you can make your order and then the server brings it out. I wonder how much the complaints have gone down or up as opposed to, hey, this isn't what I ordered. Well, look, it's right here.
It's your fat fingers, you know, put it in the little next to the video games. Yeah.
I got to say, I went to, because during COVID, like a lot of people did different strategies. And I went to, we'll close it on this. We always say that. But I went to this restaurant in Portland when I was visiting the in-laws while they were up there. It was a brewery with a kitchen. And they had that to where like a server is not coming to your table. You pretty much go to the host desk. They seat you. You scan the Q or whatever the fucking code is. And then you go on the app and you order your food. And that's the only time a server comes to you is when you order your food. And I remember thinking, I was like, this is actually really, like COVID aside, really fucking productive. Because one, Mitch, you just hit on the head. There's no more fucking complaints about orders being wrong. If it's wrong, it's because you fucked up. And there's no argument about it. So that's one. Two, you can cut down on staff by like at least 50%. Because if you're a server now that has to run to every table to take orders, that's time. If you just have to sit at your fucking station and be like, okay, they put this food order in, I just have to take it and go to it.
Food runner, yeah.
So it actually, I thought COVID aside, I was like, this is actually fucking really smart.
Yeah.
Until an old person comes in and doesn't know how to fucking work it.
Along with the working from home thing, I think companies are going to find ways to really benefit from COVID.
Yeah.
That's what their job is.
All right.
Yeah, too much.
Good night, guys. Yes, thank you for listening. If you're listening
Yes.
this long, here's a little life hack for you. Little life hack for you. Brush your teeth when you're in the shower. It'll save you. So I stole that from The Office. It's fine, but there's a little tip. Thank you for listening.
You kept him,
Another
Save
life
yourself
hack:
some
Go
time.
get some rest, audience.
if you pee in the sink, you're saving water.
There
Yeah,
you go.
you wash your hands, flush it down.
I have no life. I have no life hacks. I just want our audience to rest.
Oh, it's nice. How wholesome.
Oh,
That's
nice.
wholesome, Eddie. All right, thanks, guys.
All right, bye guys. We'll see you later.
All right, thank you, audience.